we'll get into it here with our Seahawks. As I mentioned, OTAs are starting, so we've got a bunch of movements in and out of camp, and some injuries that had to go under surgery. So that is interesting here. Some domino effects within the Seahawks because of stuff like that. On May 22nd, as we go straight into team notes here, the team signed nose tackle Latrell Bumpus, and as a corresponding move, waived outside linebacker Chris Garrett. And on the same day, this is the 22nd, the team signed cornerback Artie Burns. Now, if you remember, Burns was signed last year as a free agent from the Chicago Bears. He came along with the coaching staff hires that were made because of this familiarity there. I believe that was a Sean Desai hiring. But he didn't play much. He was an active scratch, many games, and just really didn't do much in that Seattle cornerback room, especially considering the younger cornerback talent that really emerged in a guy like Tariq Woolen. Speaking of Woolen, on the 23rd, he underwent surgery. Tied last year for the league lead in interceptions, Tariq underwent arthroscopic knee surgery that is expected to sideline him until training camp. Woolen injured his knee while walking on the practice field for OTAs 1 week ago. Doctors reviewed the injury and said that Woolen would undergo surgery in Houston, which went as well as the doctors could have hoped. It is considered something minor. So you can see here that we've got Burns coming back for a reason like that, create some competition in camp. Keep that intensity up. And you've got a veteran in the cornerback room. So it's not the worst thing in the world. It was a little confusing at first to hear that they were bringing Burns back, especially considering that you drafted Devon Witherspoon. You've got Woolen. Trey Brown's going to compete for a spot after being one of the more exciting cornerbacks that you've brought into this room. Kobe Bryant. You've got a young cornerback room. So it was a little bit confusing at first, but you take into account the Woolen surgery, and it's understandable. More continuing with the Seahawks and OTAs, the team did sign offensive guard Anthony Bradford, one of their draft picks. Nose tackle Robert Cooper was waived as the Artie Burns deal was made official that day. This is on the 23rd. The team also on the 23rd finalized their preseason dates and times. We had opponents weeks 1 through 3, but we didn't have any dates or times for that. So week 1 will be August 10th versus the Minnesota Vikings here at Lumen Field with a 7 o'clock kickoff. Week 2, August 19th versus the Cowboys here is at 7 p.m. And then week 3 to wrap up the preseason, August 26th at the Packers at Lambeau with a 10 a.m. start, which is going to be interesting for a preseason game, but I digress. And then the last piece of news here out of Seahawks camp OTAs, the team worked out quarterback E.J. Perry, former Texans and Jaguars quarterback, a former 2-time All-Ivy League performer at Brown, the offensive MVP of the Shrine Bowl, and had the top athleticism test score of any quarterback in his combine. So it's interesting. Again, competition with moves like that, considering the quarterback spot or the move like Burns, you've got to consider the competition part of things. Pete Carroll lives for that word in general. So just always keep that in mind, when moves like that are made. And league related news, this one kind of caused some controversy. I'm kind of okay with it, but I also get the folks, especially the players, that are saying we're getting closer and closer to removing special teams as a whole. The league approved a new fair catch rule. Fair catches behind the 25-yard line will result in the ball starting at the 25, as well as any fair catch beyond the 25, resulting in the ball being placed at the spot of the catch. So that's interesting. I don't know how that'll go, but I don't know. It's tough with kickoffs considering how big the possibility, how increased the possibility of injury is on those. But at the same time, also, it's like special teams are such a big part of the game. You don't want to just remove them outright. So I don't know. I can get both sides to an extent, but I like to listen to the players more so than anything else. So, we'll move over here. We're going to look first at the upcoming dates for the Seahawks, as I was wrong previously, and I said that Seahawks were going to kind of cool off for a bit. Their different OTA offseason workouts include the May 22nd, 24th, or 25th, May 30th, which is tomorrow, June 1st and 2nd, and then June 12th through 14th, and then mandatory mini camp is June 6th through 8th. Obviously, OTAs don't include the word mandatory, so any sort of anger about those guys and any certain veteran not being there doesn't necessarily make sense because they don't have to be there.